Myself, I am Aakash. I am PostgreSQL tech lead at Mydbops. I am also a active tech speaker and blog writer. And this is about us, Mydbops. Mydbops is we are providing services on top open source databases like MySQL, MongoDB, PostgreSQL, TiDB, and Cassandra. We are providing two types of services: consulting and managed database services. And today agenda is we will be seeing connection pooling and why it is required, and what are the available connection poolers, and also we did a benchmarking comparing the few connection poolers. We will also see the same. So let's see about connection pooling. So what is connection pooling? Actually, connection pooling is a pool of database connections created before in hand, so that the application requires a new connection means it will be automatically taken from the pool instead of creating new connections at that time. So what is the advantage is we can use the same connections again and again. So once the connection is used and it is sent back to the pool, we can just use it from the connection pool itself. We don't need to recreate or destroy the connections on the database. So completely it will be moved to the connection pool side from the database. So let's see this example. We have application and the PostgreSQL database, and if there is no connection pool means all the connections will directly hit through the database. This is the default architecture. So if we are introducing connection pool, all the connections from the application will hit the connection pool, okay, and then only very few connections which is already created in the connection pooler will hit the database. This is the added advantage here. So very less number of connections hit the database, and also the creation termination, this also is very reduced. Yeah, so limiting connections to the database, that is one of the very big advantage, and overhead of creation and termination of connection is greatly reduced. And we will see why pooling is required. Okay, so for example, you may guys have multiple databases, but some of the databases you may need it. Example, MySQL, which handles a very huge number of connections. But some may ask why for PostgreSQL we need connection pool.
So in PostgreSQL, connection is process based. Okay. Even in our first talk also we mentioned what is the advantages of process based, and here we will see what is the disadvantages mostly on having a process based connection. So let's consider this is the Postgres architecture. Okay. So this is the main parent process, that is the PostgreSQL server process, and this is our shared memory. These are all our background process required for Postgres to be functional. Okay. Let's say an application is trying to make a connection to the database. What it will do is first it will reach the PostgreSQL server process. Server will do the authentication. Once the authentication is successful, it will take a copy of the PostgreSQL parent process and send the connection to the application. Okay. So similarly, it will do the same for get number of connections. If the other user is hitting means, it will take another process copy. Okay, by this we will see lot of connections will be created. It is actually a process, OS process. If you ever log into the PostgreSQL database and put top analytics, you can see lots of Postgres calls only running. So this is the reason, because PostgreSQL uses process-based connection. Okay, what are the disadvantages? It uses more resources. When compared with the other thing, PostgreSQL uses process. It will use more number of CPU and memory when compared with the other mechanism. And other than that, when you are having lot of process, when you are having increased number of connections, it will impact the slow context switch will be very slow. So it will also impact the performance. So now let's see what is the architecture of MySQL. That's what I will reference. So in MySQL, what it will do, once we get the connection request from application, this connection request will be handled by a process called receiver thread. Okay, receiver thread will check the thread caching. It is kind of a collection of thread which is previously created. Whether it is checked for any connections is available or not. And if there is a connection available, it will take from the thread caching itself and assign it to the user. If there is no connection, if thread cache available means what it will do, it will create a new thread and assign it to the user. Okay, so this is completely based on the threads, and also MySQL is inbuilt having thread catch. PostgreSQL doesn't have either using thread as well as it is doesn't have thread catch as well. So these are some of the disadvantages. And the advantages of using thread is it won't use that much of memory or CPU when we are creating large number of connections. And for context switching will be very fast. If you are doing threads context switching, it is much faster than the process. Okay, now let's see what are the other connections pullers open source we do have. So first and very popular thing is Pgpool. So it is available since 2007 and it is very simple to configure and it is there. And the next one is Pgpool 2, which is available from 2003. Its complexity means based on the user simplicity. It's bit complex when compared to Pgpool. And Pgcat is there, it's recently developed and recently also Instacart published the benchmarking and it is really good. And Odyssey is there and PGBLR is there. All are open source and available for anyone can use it. So so far any questions? So let's deep dive into Pgpool. So Pgpool is a lightweight process. What we are saying lightweight process means it will just get the connection from your application. It doesn't do any process. It will directly give it to the backend. So it won't consume much of CPU or memory. You can post it on any of your either on your application server or even on database server. It won't consume much of your resources. And it is very easy to set up. It won't do much kind of take time. In 5 minutes we can configure the setup. Anyone can do it. And it is a single process and we don't have any different authentication for it. We can use the same authentication as the database. So this will be the basic architecture. So instead of using your direct database string, you will use your Pgpool string in your application. So the application will connect to the Pgpool will serve the traffic to the database. So let us see basic configuration of it. So once you are chosen to use Pgpool, the first thing you need to choose is what kind of pooling mode you need to use. This is very important in Pgpool, and also most of the connection pooler have this setup. So 3 pooling mode Pgpool is providing. First one is session, transaction, and statement. So let's see session. What session pooling mode will do means, let's give an example. So once the application is connecting to the connection pooler, it will check for any connection which is available in the pooler itself. If the connection is available, it will use the connection from the pooler and create the connection to the backend database. Okay. Once the connection is, let's say another connection is taking means another connection is available and it will make use of it. Once the connection is closed on client end and it will close same on the server end and it will move back onto the pooler. So this is the concept of session. So the application will open on session. So Pgpool will also open one session into the database. Okay, once the application closed it, Pgpool will also close it. This is called the session 1. And also this is the default connection pooler given with Pgpool. And the next one is transaction. So what this will do is instead of session level thing, so when user started a connection, it will make a connection to the connection pooler, that is Pgpool, but it won't make any connection to the backend database. Once we start with the transaction only, it will start making the connection to the backend database. Yeah, in the session mode we see once the user connects, it will connect the session to the backend database. But once we start with the transaction only, here the connection will be made to the backend database. Okay. Once we are committed, either committed or rollback, then immediately the connection will be sent back to the pool. It won't wait, it doesn't need to wait for the application to close the connection. Once the transaction closed, then it will close the connection and send it back to the pool. And if another user is making any connection things, and once they start with the transaction, the same thing will happen. So this is the transaction. And the last one is statement pooling mode. So what it will do is, instead of a transaction or session level, it will work on the statement level. So once you fire any statement, it will just check for any connection available in the link and use any of it. Let's say I'm firing 2 queries here, drop table yes and drop table point. first table may use the first connection if probably. And if we can't be sure whether it is not necessary to use the same connection for the second user. So what we will do, second user might be used by some other connection to the pool. Okay, so what is the disadvantage here with this method is multi-statement won't be supported. As you can see, right, each and every connection will be sent to different connections, statement to the different connections, so multi-statement won't be supported. And the auto-promote is always enabled. You can't use transaction like meeting statement or anything, you cannot be used here. So auto-promote will be always enabled in this session. So these are all the three pooling ones we have. Once you have chosen which one is best for you, then you can move to the next configuration setting. Or else if you don't have any idea, means you can go into session pooling mode that works for most of them. Okay, so once you are done with the session pooling mode, now you need to choose what kind of authentication you are going to use for your database. So first is one is authentication with the auth file and with the auth user. Auth file in the sense we need to maintain a text file where we will put our database username and password. Password can be put on the MD5 checksum or even plain password as well, but it is not recommended. Okay, and if this location of this file will be pointed to this variable, auth file variable. Okay, so this is the basic concept. So if you are going to use MD checksum, you need to use MD checksum. Or else if you are planning to use plain password, means you can use the plain password once under the location of the file, and this will be the basic content of the file. So it will be having the database username and the MD5 checksum. Okay, and if you are using plain password, means you can just mention the plain password here. Okay, what is the advantages? It is very simple. Easily we can select the initially. But the disadvantages, if you are going for, you are having n number of servers, means or more number of users, means it won't be easy to maintain. You need to add and remove the users each and every time, or else if you forget, means the user wrong time. So there are a lot of maintenance problems out here. So we have another one is called auth user. What it will do is, instead of using the file, data is going to directly fetch the database and get the credentials from the database itself. We don't need to maintain any kind of files in the Pgpool server. So for this, what we need to do, we need to create only one low privileged user to fetch the database credentials from the database. Okay, and this is the sample query. This is fetched from the PG shadow table. If you want to use some other system table to share your credentials, you can also use that. Okay, and this is the auth file. Still we need auth file, but this time we will only have the low privileged user. We don't need to put all your application user on it. Okay, so you can choose any of this method. So once you are done with this one, remaining all very basic configuration methods like max client connection, what is the max number of client connections you want to allow, and default pool size is 20, and how many connections needs to be maintained with the Pgpool server, and the minimum pool size means that how many connections needs to be always connected with the database from the pool. And the reserve pool size, in case of any sudden spike in the traffic, means what will happen means you may need to have some kind of reserved backup kind of thing. So if you want to have reserved pool size, means in such situation or sudden huge traffic, you can use this reserved pool size and make use of it. And reserved pool time says how much time we need to wait before using the reserved pool size. And reserved port, which on which port you want to Pgpool to be done. Default is 643. So let's see. So far, any queries?
So the improvement one we make the maximum. Is this the maximum limit?
So here you mentioned the maximum client limit that is 100.
Yeah, it's a default.
So what's the maximum limit we can go up to?
You can put up to 10,000 itself. So you need to only to the OS.
So you have any like stats to share like this connection, you were able to cascade any kind of public available stats?
Yeah, I have listed in the upcoming steps. I have benchmarking.
Thank you.
So let's see how with this configuration how Pgpool works. So let's consider this is the configuration. Okay, it's a very basic thing. Max connection is 10, default pool size is 3, and reserve pool size is 1. And reserve pool time mode is 10. And the pooling mode I just going with session. So let's say this is my configuration. Application will be connected to the Pgpool to the port 6432. Okay. So now as per my configuration, my pool size is 3. So I am having 3 connections already available in my pool area. And my reserve size is 1. So 1 connection will be available and it is always reserved. And consider this as the waiting area. So connections which doesn't have the connections from the pool will be put into the waiting area. So this is the idea of it. So now let's say I am sending 2 connections from my application. What will happen? Pgpool will use the 2 connections in the pool and it will be served by the database. Okay. Once the connection is closed, it will be sent back to the pool. Now let's consider I am sending 4 connections to the database. Okay, what will happen here? But my pool this area is only 3 connections. Okay, so remaining 1 connection will be in the waiting area. It will be waiting for the connections to be available in the pool. Okay. So now then what will happen? Here there are 2 chances. Either the 3 connections which is already executed, any one of it should be completed and send the connection back to the pool so that my waiting area will be served from the pool area. Okay, or else in case it will get time out means it will use the reserve pool area and will make the connection to the database. So let's say a timeout, as per my timeout, it will wait for 10 seconds. Before 10 seconds, if the connection is available, it will make use of it. So let's say if the connection is available, so what will happen? This waiting area will make use of the pool area and it will be served to the traffic. In case it doesn't happen and get timeout means, it will go to the pool area and it will same thing will happen. Connections will be served. So this is the overall idea. So any doubts next?
This is only for shared viewers or write also?
It's for the write itself.
So this is using. Okay, so this is only connected to one server.
One server. So it doesn't support like read to big. It doesn't have the knowledge of it. It can go for only one server. Yeah, if you want to go advanced Pgpool or Pgcat, all the things are also.
What additional guarantees does the reserve pool area give other than the straight pool area? Like the connections available in the reserve pool area, what is the benefit of having two pools?
Can you do this?
Yeah. In this example, you mentioned, like after the timeout happens, the reserve pool area is given.
Yes.
This versus an approach where there is a single pool area with all combined.
Okay, you are saying instead of having a server pool, I can put all the connections in a single.
Yes, what's the difference in performance characteristics or staging characteristics?
So it's just kind of reserved it in case of any searching connections. Okay, this connection, the pool area will be always created in the database. Okay, reserved pool, it's only created. It will be only created when it is needed. Okay, so that is the reason. If you let's say I have 50 use 50 is my pooling area. 50 is my all the 50 connections will be created on the database. Okay, so in this case pool area there is a surge in traffic for some unfortunate incidents only pool area is. Okay, pool area.
Okay, so 4 connections we have, so one result pool there, so each different 4. So what if it's more than that?
So okay, that is will wait until the timeout value. We will have timeout value will be there.
Will we use any kind of made?
No, you won't use the transaction. Your application will get error. Will get error, unable to allocate the resources or something. Those kind of errors will be there. If it gets time.
Okay, sometimes application make the connection and doesn't do anything. And with the PT modes will be able to disconnect to it.
So on the session level, it won't do. If you want that cases, if your application is having that kind of issues, means you can prefer to transaction mode. Because if there is no transaction started, means it will be closed on the pool.
Okay, sorry. We cannot have a combination of this.
No, only one.
Okay.
Okay. How do we see the metrics in say of this?
Yeah, coming to the upcoming slides, we can see by using two methods, the Pgpool by default providing CLI method, okay, where we can see all the metrics which is consumed by the Pgpool.
Another question is about audit logs. Let's say,
Sorry?
audit logs.
Audit logs.
Does it?
Yeah, we can log the connections, how many connections are created, like Postgres, right? Postgres we can create logging the connections. Same thing we can do it on Pgpool also. So you can find out the client address easily by using the logs.
Pgbops it should be installed in separate server.
Sorry?
Pgbops should be installed in separate server.
Yes, you can just post it on the application server. Okay, if you won't consume much memory or CPU, either application server or most you can put it on the database server itself.
What if I'm operating on a cloud? So Pgbops.
So cloud, if you are still cloud, mostly you can go with audience proxy.
Okay.
Okay, it's similar to Pgpool, but if you are feeling it is costly, means you can provision a small EC2 box and you can install it there and you can route your connections through the EC2.
So one question is that as far as I understand, the connection is tied to a particular database. So if you have three in your pool directly, then this is quite someone wants to connect to a different one. What happens in that scenario? Does it close that connection completely to create a new one?
So different one means what you have.
Like we are supposed to databases,
Okay.
and your pool size is only 3.
Okay, this one is for per database. Per database. So let's say I'm having 4 databases, it's 4 into 3 full area.
Okay, so per database with automatic teams.
Another question. So when you go back to that also. Where you said some extensions.
So,
the list of extensions.
List of extensions.
list of
Extensions.
extensions.
List of full extensions.
Full, yeah. So, you're saying it's a pooling service. So, it's not come by default to Postgres.
So these are all separate, it won't come with the Postgres, not an extension. So it is a separate package we need to download and copy.
Yes, so these are all third-party extensions, like
Yes.
from database company. So, how can we trust which in our option? It's a general question.
Yeah, of course, sir. These are all used by, we are saying Postgres is also downloaded.
Yeah, that's it. For I know Postgres are highly extensible and not only this, lot of extensions are available, but how can we trust and what is going to be the future proof for this?
Yeah, we can see all these are being used by very bigger companies. Example, PGCAD. Okay, this is very recently popular and it is being used by Instagram. Okay, so they are mostly contributing. So based on when preferring to choose, right, you can use the contributors and you can choose how many stars it is getting on the meetup and how frequently the bugs are coming. Based on it, you can choose it before going picking the right one.
Yeah, and you said Pgpool are only one server, like only one server. So we have to go on another.
Because you can install multiple Pgpool also.
So that's the issue of that. Let's that's no because Postgres has anything by default for the application like
Postgres doesn't have any policy. So you prefer on third party, you don't have any options also. In future, Postgres is actually planning to move to the thread-based one. Okay, but we are very strange in that it will be later.
Yeah, quick question on the last slide. So if there is a certification, then what it is
Scale, they go to the project, just put it on fast.
What's the benefit of using this rather than we can just example it with our application? We can use the DB application, that's a connection that we can get inside the application itself. That saves you from a hop, that saves you from overall
Saying like connection applications of having a connection.
if there is just one application, one database, then what is the advantage of having a separate external connection?
Okay, so what I'm getting is to application is having connection to her. Why should we have a users?
I mean, pretty much all the Java, all the languages they come with the connection, which is exactly application.
Yeah.
Some of the best connection tools for the one is because it doesn't make microsecond of connection.
So this one is completely on the application one. So mostly understand the PostgreSQL. Okay, of course, if you are sure your application connection pool is working great means then you can stick with it. So some of the connection application doesn't have is then they can use. But I have one use case afterwards. So that is causing application connection pool causes some issue over there because of the wrong pool size. Okay. So that case what it says is because of the wrong configuration of the application, it caused huge impact on the database. So by having this kind of connection pool, that was noted in my experience. Once you configure the connection pool, it will be your central part of your application and the database. So it is very much important to monitor it. So we have two options. One is the Pgpool itself providing the CLI one. So this is the connection string you will be using. If you are giving your application database name, it will connect to the database. But if you are using a special term called Pgbouncer, then it will go to the Pgbouncer admin. So this is the example of the Pgbouncer admin console. Once you are into the Pgbouncer admin console, you can put all these commands. Show her, and you can use these commands to monitor. See? Okay. So for example, this is the basic one. Show full system one of the command. This is giving all the details. Example, client activities. 50 clients are currently actively querying my database. And client waiting. Client waiting is 50 queries are waiting. 50 connections are waiting. So if you ever see client waiting is very dynamic, there is some problem with your configuration or something. Because if it is very dynamic, your application tendency will shoot up. So you need to keep on monitoring client waiting. And the server active is 50. So client active is 50 and server active is 50. So exactly it is completely utilized. And here putting what is transaction and the max wait is plus. Okay, this is how long the waiting queries are taking. But here it is 0.40. If it is in 1 or 2 minutes, then it is very high number. And this is all microseconds. So it is having very less volume in this case. So what is the problem with the CLI method is it almost give all the stats, but you can only see the current time. Okay, what you are executing this query, what it is executing, that is the only thing you will get. Okay, if you want to see the metrics for last over 1 month or 1 week means, you need to rely on Grafana based report. If you are already having PM2 in your infra or some other Grafana, you can simply configure it by using the Pgbouncer exporter. Okay, it is having a very good dashboards like this. It is giving you all the consolidated things like client active and waiting. Okay. And also most of the details will be available. And you can select a diagram as well how long you want to see. So we did a small benchmarking with direct connection and to the Pgbouncer on the smaller instance. So this is the configuration. 50 is the code size. And it is posted on the application server. It means that PG beds I am using it, so I just posted it on the same server. And did for the connection 150, 75, 200, 500 from the application, that is PG beds. So this is the one. So I first started with only one concurrent connection, only one connection. So you could see direct connection did very better. I was able to achieve 1 Kbps, but through Pgbouncer it also latency. Okay, one. So, and the second thing, 50 connections also, there is a slight difference also. So, nearly 2.3 I was able to achieve one without connection cooler, that is direct connection. And through connection cooler, I was able to achieve 2.2K. But when my system started to overload, when by having more number of connections, 75 100, direct connection started to very gradually low. Okay, you can see it was able to 1500 and then 1000 and around 400 it was completely it was hanged. Okay, but my connection, same connection to the PG console was able to give the same performance. So similar thing happened with the total number of transaction processed. So this metric also tells the same. So when we are having so what we are able to understand from this metric is when we are having very less number of connections, you can just directly go with the direct connection itself. It is not, your PG console not going to be very input. But when you are going to have more than 50 or 100 connections, definitely you can export PG console. It will give you the constant performance and also avoid your DB to overload by using the number of connections. So this is the summary of the benchmark. Yeah, any questions on benchmark? Okay. So if you consider instance, PG console is a very good tool, but it doesn't support any kind of unchain. So if you are putting it on in front of your application, please ensure you are configuring multiple PG consoles. On top of it, you can configure a load balancer so that you can avoid downtime. And the PG console is a single process. So if you are going to configure multiple applications, please use multiple PG consoles. Don't configure connections for more than 30 or 50. There are chances it may stall sometimes if you are loading it usually. And you have multiple instances for more connections. You can configure a number of PG consoles on a single instance itself. And OS should be optimized. Very important parameter is the open file limit. If you are configuring and let's say running it on the PG console user fix, ensure the PG console user is having very good open file limit number. Or else, well, it will work fine initially, but if you are opening very huge number of connections, your application will stop and get error, cannot create more connections. So it is very, very important. So we recently, last 3 months back, we recently faced one of the issues. So where one of the customer research, we are having very high CPU usage for the last 1 week. Okay, and they are on database ODS, those 8 CPU and 64 GB RAM instance. And we asked them there is no new deployment. So it means that there is no new queries are configured, but we are having very high CPU usage. So this is the CPU usage. So until certain point it was very flat. After some research, they actually started to keep on increasing. This is what we happened. So when we analyzed it, they told them that all are good. They didn't make any changes. But when we checked on it, we also find that both CPU crossing queries are almost very good. But when we see the connection graph, let's say we it was around 400 or something. And after this change, exactly at the time, connection was around to 4K. Okay, but connections didn't do anything, all are idle only. And we told them why we very reasonable number of connections, but the customer didn't understand these are idle connections, it doesn't cause any issue. Okay, and to prove that what we did, we configured log connection and disconnection on the database, and we figured out many number of log connections are happening each and every time. And we put Postgres what also did is the internal Windows DBA, they 4.5K is the maximum connection, 4K connections are already created. To avoid reaching max out of connection, they configure some script which runs every 1 minute to kill the idle connections. Okay, so what that happened is, the script is killing the connection every minute and the application checking the connection and it is saying this doesn't and it is recreating it. So this is what happened for the last 1 week. So script is killing it and the application is recreating it. So this number of huge connection, disconnection, creation, destroy, created lot of CPU. So you can see this is not a straight line. There is a spike drop. So this is because of the script, connection creation and the drop. So once what we propose is we actually ask them to reduce the connection in the application, but due to some reason they are not able to do. So we have 2 reasons. One is the RDS proxy, going with RDS proxy to restrict that thing. But for some reason, client doesn't agree to go with RDS proxy. They feel it is costly. So we actually implemented Pgpool on one of the applications. So this is what happened. Instead of direct connections, everything to the database, we actually send the connection to the Pgpool and limited the connections of the database. So once we made the changes, connections actually dropped and it was like earlier. So this is one of the real production use case, and really Pgpool really helped on this scenario. So this is also actually one of your questions. The wrong visit of the application connection pooler impacted the database. By configuring the Pgpool, it created the reports. So, and some people may see it is having very few features. So if you want to go with advanced features, you can use Pgpool, and it is a multi-threaded one. So instead of single process, it can use multiple cores to make effective use of it. And it is also having low latency. If you are having multiple replicas, you can write your own query rules. It is almost like a proxy SQL to MySQL. If you have ever come across proxy SQL, it is similar to that. It is even having query caching. It is also sends if your replica is any of its language, it won't send the traffic to the particular replica. So the other thing is it is a bit complex compared to the Pgpool. Configuration wise, you may need to spend more time on it to ensure that all are working fine, especially if you are using the rate routing. And it, because of its architecture, it uses multiple processes, so it always uses higher resources. So it is not a good idea to host it on the database server. Please prefer to go with the separate instance itself. And the other one you have is Pgcat. It is kind of an extended version of Pgbouncer. It also do whatever Pgbouncer do, along with it support sharding as well. If you are having sharding, you can write your own query rule to do sharding too. So this is the one of the benchmarking done by Pgbouncer, sorry, done by our team. Comparatively, Pgbouncer, which is a single threaded, single process, and Pgcat, which is a multi-process one. So here you can see the difference between it. So Pgbouncer, which is a single thing, it is having very high latency. So higher is that here. So when they are getting 2.5K connections, the latency is very high. But on the same time, Pgcat, its latency is very less. Its rate is 40, only half of it. Okay. And transactions also remains the same. So this is a very 40K is there, 40 to 30K. Here it is 60K was there. So we see this is very clearly explaining when you are going with a very high number of connections, you want to more achievements. And instead of using Pgbouncer, you can prefer to go with Pgcat because it is doing very good number of performance improvement. And the reason is it is using a multiple process. Whereas Pgbouncer will use only the single process. That is the reason. So summary, Pgbouncer works for very simple setups. If you are going to have complex setup like read-write algorithms, you can refer Pgpool or Pgcat. But please ensure you are doing testing. And voice tuning is very important for all the things. Or else you will face any error. And don't forget about the HA. Other than Pgbouncer, remaining all of support inbuilt HA, so you can make use of it effectively. And it is all just Pgbouncer connection for all are good for the OLTP workload. If you are having a overlap workload, means it won't be much beneficial because where you will create very less number of connections. Okay. So these are some of the references. Yeah, that's it. Yes.